Howdy, folks. What's going on? This is the Outlaw Hatfield back at you one more time on a Monday night. Well, I just got booted out of Matt's chat. Oh, I hate hearing myself like that. That drives me crazy. Anyway, I just got booted out of Matt's chat because, well, Matt's an asshole. Um, but that's okay. His day is coming. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that we definitely have a roast planned for Matt coming up in the next few weeks. So he can enjoy his now. I'll enjoy mine later. I'm going to get to sit back and listen to all of you wonderful individuals blast his ass. So that ought to be quite entertaining. With me tonight is InSight Freedom. We're going to be doing a one-on-one interview, get inside his head a little bit, figure out what makes him tick. InSight, how are you doing tonight, bro?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, dug a ditch today. So a bit dehydrated, I think. Trying to fix that problem as we speak. Get some water in me. But other than that, hey, things is good, man. Things is
Yeah.
good. Let's see who we got out over on the YouTube side hollering at us here. We got 7 watching, and I see 4 talking. We got our buddy Gary Gizzard, or Gizzard Gary, the Scotsman's out there. How you doing, Scotsman? We got
There's my brother.
Yep, we got Scott P79. We got Midnight Range. We got Too Hottie. Too Hottie, how you doing, brother? Okay, guys, I've got an announcement to make a little later on. I was hoping Night Strike would show up for this. I'm going to wait a few minutes. Maybe he will. He needs to make himself known if he is here, because this announcement that I'm going to make involves him.
Yeah.
So we'll give him a few minutes and see where it goes. So what was you doing today? I heard you had a rough one.
Well, it's just a typical Monday. Headed back out of Knoxville early this morning. Drove back. Hit a couple of job sites. Got back into the office. Air conditioning was completely out. Worked all the way up until about an hour ago, and I couldn't handle the heat in the office anymore. And just came down here to chat with you using the phone, so I can't really see what's going on in the side chat or anything. But knew this was coming up, and I've been looking forward to it.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I really do. Um, you, I love doing these one-on-one interviews because I like getting inside of people's head to learn a little bit about them. It's just interesting. I mean, you're like me. You like guns and you like things that involve shooting sports. But there's so much more to us than that. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I like talking about. I like getting outside of the whole firearm thing and letting people know that we are more than just the guns that we carry or that we own. And what kind of work do you do?
Well, I have a landscape architectural business, so I do design mostly. Along with that, I do a little project management and selling for my brother who runs the landscape construction company that we started back in Knoxville in the early 90s. And used to be an adjunct professor. Used to teach here at Nashville State and in Nashville up until about a year and a half ago. Finally kind of got my way out of that. And I have a photography business, but that's kind of been backburnered here for about 3 years. I went through a divorce 3.5 years ago. So I backburnered that just to be able to put a little bit more time into my kids and stuff and not have another distraction of another job out there. But that's pretty much what I do job-wise anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there, especially YouTubers, that could have careers in photography. Some of the things that you see them, photograph, film, it's amazing, man. Um, I don't have a talent for it myself. I'm sure that there's a lot that goes into photography that I have no clue about. So, what brought you into the whole photography thing? What got you into that?
I've had an obsession with photography since I was actually it kind of goes back to my South Carolina days back in the 70s when we were down there. Dad was a landscape architect working with Robert Marvin and Associates there in Walterboro, South Carolina, and Dad was always a kind of a he enjoyed photography. He did a lot of it for job stuff, so he allowed me to use uh, his old cameras and stuff, and I got interested in it back then, and it pretty much never quit. I did film photography all the way up until the early 90s. I started kind of playing around with medium format stuff in the late 80s into the 90s a bit, and then I got into digital photography in the about early 2000s. I started transitioning over into that. So I've done it the big majority of my 54 years. So, yeah, it's just something I've enjoyed. I used to get a lot of pleasure out of it, but when I put it away, it's kind of I just don't do it as much. I could still pick it up, but I just don't have time, honestly. And I enjoy what time I do have, getting to do a little range time and doing stuff on YouTube now anyway. So that's where it is. It's definitely back burner, but I've still got all the equipment and I still play with it some.
That's cool. Now, what do you do on your YouTube channel?
YouTube, it's it's a lot of gun stuff. I started kind of hanging around YouTube. I don't know. I've had a presence around here for a while. I have an old channel where I used to do some photography tutorials, and that wasn't ever anything that I really put much into. I just kind of had it out there so that I had a host for videos that I could share with people that had questions. I managed a kind of an international photo a day challenge and some weekly photo challenges on another site for a long time, and YouTube was just kind of a source for that, for me hosting and posting things that I could share with other people. But I've always kind of hung around the gun channels. Always had an interest in handguns more so than anything else, and I really started hanging out in the community around here a lot more about 3 years ago, and the kids started getting interested in YouTube. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they started getting interested in it and wanted to have YouTube channels. So that really pushed me a year ago into spend a lot more time with them. I have their YouTube channels under email address, so I kind of track all the stuff that they do and stuff. But I really got into kind of putting content out there because I started feeling guilty because I was getting so much out of the gun community. I felt like I needed to give something back. So I've really just been posting videos for about a year now.
You've already got a question out here in the chat, believe it or not. Too Hottie asked, please ask him if he loses any photography skills when he puts it down for a while. It's a perishable skill, in my experience. Curious to his perspective.
I would say a little bit. I think probably the thing that I feel like I get rustiest on is like the processing end of things more so. I've been doing photography. Well, let's say that I haven't done it as much as I did up until about 3 years ago, but I've done photography for so long that it kind of feels like riding a bike. It's not that hard to get back on. The digital processing is such a methodical kind of step-by-step thing. That's where I feel like I'm probably the rustiest on that. But the photography itself, the eye part of it becomes kind of natural. And I've used the same system for so long of equipment that it's not that hard. It's kind of a natural process with me, kind of where all the controls and what to do with the controls are. So processing yet, photography a little bit, but it wouldn't take much to kick back into it.
Just the experience comes back real quick.
Yeah. It's I drove trucks and I drove a lot of equipment stuff for a long time, and that kind of stuff doesn't take me long to get back into either after doing it as long as I did. So and you probably know about that kind of stuff. You know, how you do something a lot for a long time and it kind of felt natural for a long time. It's not hard to jump back into for me. It's almost like picking up an old gun I hadn't shot in a while. It doesn't take long for me to get back to that feel of where I know how to put it on target pretty easily after I've run a few rounds and kind of gotten that feel of it back in me.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite YouTube gun channels?
Well, you know,
that's a loaded question.
I'm from here in Middle Tennessee, and I don't live far from Hickok. I don't really watch a lot of his videos anymore, but I really, a long time ago, really got interested in him. I met him at a couple of gun shops around here in Middle Tennessee, and talked to him and had seen him a little bit, but there were some of the bigger channels like that. And here's an honest thing. I still kind of appreciate the content that some of the bigger channels put out, but I found myself drawn looking for more specific information and more interaction with people. So I kind of stumbled into, really, I think Pop's Quest and Coda Boy 32 were the first two channels that I stumbled across kind of within this bigger community, and got a lot of information out of them, and actually when I asked questions, got feedback and answers to them, and felt like I wasn't getting a lot of promotional videos for gun companies. You know what I mean? When I was watching some of these smaller channels, like where I was getting some honest answers about pros and cons about things. So, long story short, so a lot of the big channels were the ones I followed, and I really don't even follow them anymore. I check them out every now and then, you know. So,
Coda Boy is a great source for information. I watch him quite a lot. Sorry, I got distracted. I was reading something Scotsman put out there. You know, for me, since I've been on YouTube making these videos, and I don't make anything. I don't make too many produced videos, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Most of what I do is the live stuff. Anybody that knows me knows that I do a lot of live content. I could not tell you how many hours of this stuff I've done over the last year. But it's a crazy amount. And forgive the dogs in the background if you hear them.
I've got my headset on, so luckily my 100-pound lab can't hear those dogs. He'd be going crazy too. So
it's an annoyance of my life, those dogs. But yeah, I started off listening to like everybody else, Hickok and Yankee and Never Enough Ammo, Mac Military Arms Channel.
Oh yeah,
and, man, I got hooked. I was like, I didn't even know they had gun videos on YouTube. So when I first decided, okay, I want to do something, I didn't think that it was going to affect my life as much as it has. Making these videos, doing these shows, and I've met a lot of great people, and most of those people are out in this audience right now listening to this show. Scotsman, Gary, Midnight, Too Hottie, all of these people that never miss a show. They're always here. No matter what I'm talking about, no matter who's on the panel, these guys are always here, either on the show or listening out there, and we have such a tight-knit group of fellow gun guys out there, and girls for that matter. And it's a shame we don't come together on more topics than we do, more issues than we do. But, take what you can get with it, It's a great format to get information out there. And I love doing these interviews with people like you. It's just something that it means a lot. It really does, and it shows people that, hey, these guys don't have to, be gung ho all the time. They're just regular people. They're like you and me.
Well, that's something I decided when I started making content that I wasn't going to try to put on some kind of persona. I would just be myself, and kind of what you see is what you get. It's not flashy. I just enjoy if I get something, I like to share it. If I figure out something about something, I like to share that. And if something's really getting in my head and I have to have an outlet to get it out, and I appreciate that about YouTube. It's been an outlet to get out some I guess thoughts in my head, or sometimes frustrations sometimes.
Yeah, and we've all had our rant moments. I've had a couple myself. I try to stay away from the political side on my shows as much as possible, but sometimes even I get wrapped up in them. And when it happens, it happens. There's some things that come up that you just can't avoid, and you have to say something about it. And whether it's popular or not, it needs to be said. So, and I have made a couple of those rant videos, and um, I'm not sure if people like them, love them, or hate them, but it's my opinion, and well, I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah, I think I decided to start putting content. I was probably somewhere around March, April of last year. I want to time it somewhere around tax return and buying a new gun that I remember kind of posting some of my first videos about. I know I did something about some upgrades that I did to my AR, but it had to be around March or April that I ended up getting that Rock Island 22 TCM 1911. And that timing to me was ironic, because I watched a lot of this stuff in these channels really growing and thriving and doing a lot of stuff. And I never considered getting into YouTube for any kind of financial benefit. I always considered it just as a community that I was plugged into. I never did monetize. I never thought about monetizing. But if I did, I picked probably one of the most ironic times in YouTube history to actually try to get involved in posting content for that purpose, because it was right around the same time that they really started hitting hard on a lot of gun content and gun channels, and they started really steering traffic away from them. They really started demonetizing things. I didn't get into it for that, but I still kind of laugh at it that my kids always thought you could get so, because they watch all these gamers that were making ridiculous money off of YouTube, and to them that amazed them. But I wasn't ever in it for that. I really love the community around here. I was really drawn to a lot of the stuff that was going on positive, that was helping out some of the people in the community that had cancer, things that they needed. Some of the raffles and giveaways and things, or not raffles, but you know what I mean, the giveaways that were associated with fundraisers and stuff for some of that stuff. And I know the Crazy Scotsman's out there. That's how I got to know him, was through his involvement in pulling those things together. So that kind of stuff is the glue that really bonded me to this community, seeing what a true community it was, that there was actually people caring about people, and that were treating people more like family and brothers and stuff around here. So I think everybody that digs in a little deeply around this community realizes that there's a lot of depth to it.
Well, and that's a great thing. You didn't mention gun channels, but I'm going to plug it right here. That's what's so wonderful about the gun channels community. You've got a group of people that have, very few of us have actually met face to face, but I consider each and every one of those guys a dear friend, and and in most cases family. I love Ghost, I love Clover, Too Hottie, G Webs, Potatoes and Lead, Angelina. I consider all these people friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And we do come together. And we come together in times of need. We come together to help each other out. And that's going to bring me to my next point. Thanks for the segue, by the way.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the past couple of weeks, I have been sending messages silently to certain members of YouTube and other outlets, you might say. We have a member of our community, Night Strike, who has just received his CCW, and he was wanting to get a new carry gun. He just ain't got the money to afford it, with putting money into his gun tube and putting money into other things. So a couple weeks back, I decided, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of us together and I'm going to take some donations, and we are going to raise the funds to buy Night Strike, send him the money to let him buy himself a new carry gun. Well, at this point, we have about $195, just shy of $200 saved up. I'd like to get that number up to about 400 before we send him that money. I would
Nice.
love, yeah. And it's been, believe me, it has been a pain in the ass to keep this secret from him for this long. He has no clue we've done it. And I don't know if he's out there listening to this or not, but I told him to listen to the first half of the show so he wouldn't be informed. If he's not listening to it, hopefully he'll catch it in replay. But I'd like to say that I thank each and every one of you guys and girls out there that has donated, $5, $10. And some of you have donated 50. I'm not going to name names, but hey, it's appreciated, and he has done a whole lot
Yes.
to try to get this gun tube thing going. He and he, if we can give back, let's give back a little bit. We, even if you can't afford to support him over on the gun tube thing on his Patreon, this is something. This is something, and it's something
Yeah.
he'll appreciate. And it's from his brothers and sisters here on, gun channels and YouTube. So anybody that wants to help donate to this, send the cash to my Patreon. It's ellishatfield at gmail.com over on, or not Patreon, PayPal. It's ellishatfield@gmail.com over on PayPal. And when we get the money up, and like I said, I'd like to get at least 350, 400 for him before I ship it to him. Ship me out whatever you can afford. I'll get it to him, and hopefully he can go out and pick himself up a new gun, a new carry gun.
Yeah, that's great. He did put a lot into the gun tube stuff. I mean, he worked his rear end off on that, and there's no telling what he has in that, and time and money invested, and all the stuff that had going on with that. So he's just a good guy. He's obviously got the knowledge to do stuff like that, but he's a good guy, and he lives in one of my old hometowns, so I always appreciate that.
Yep, Walkerboro. Yeah, I was about to mention that earlier when you said that your dad had worked there, or owned a business there. That's interesting. Small world, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I need to make my way back down there in Trump. I hadn't been back down there to even visit in about 15 years now. So,
Well, brother, when you make that trip, hopefully you can make it on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I will do my best to meet you in Walterboro with Night Strike.
Well, that would be good. We'll have to work that out.
Yep. The only days I can get off is Mondays and Tuesdays, but if you can get one of those 2 days, preferably the Tuesday, we'll get together. We'll do something.
Hey, you can put me on some of those catfish while you're at it.
Well, now, buddy, I tell you what, if you want to do some catfishing, we can arrange that one on any given Tuesday.
That's always fun down there for sure.
Well, Lord, you live around some of the best catfishing in the United States.
Yes, I do, and did a little bit of that this weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the Tennessee River right there. Let's see, right there in Knoxville, you got that lake. I can't remember the name of it right now. Damn.
Which lake? We got like
Yeah, exactly.
five within 30
Yeah, I
minutes of
was talking about the one
Knoxville.
between. Yeah, I was talking about the one between Knoxville and Alcoa.
Yeah, you're talking about either Loudon
Yeah,
or the little T, which is Tellico,
yeah,
and
Loudon.
then there's Chilhowie and all that stuff that goes up into the
Well, that
mountains.
Chilhowie is actually lock, ain't it?
Yeah, it's more like a slowed down river or kind of a flooded timber river when you get back up into there. But yeah,
But man, there's some real good catfishing in that area.
yeah,
Well, speaking of that, uh, do you ever go into Alcoa often?
I do. Most of the time, I go through Alcoa, going back up into like 129, up into Deals Gap and Robbinsville, North Carolina, the Joyce Kilmer Slick Rock Wilderness. I go through there a good bit going into there.
Um, well, next time you go through, if you're looking for a decent gun shop in Alcoa, there is this place. It's called New Bern Arms. The guy that runs this, his name's James. I've actually had him on the show. He's a really good guy, and he's not got a big shop. It's a small shop, right behind the Chevrolet place there.
Okay.
Uh,
So right
and
off the Motor Mile.
yep, right off the Motor Mile. Uh, Great guy. Stop in and say hello to him sometime. Tell him I sent you.
I will do that because I'm always looking for good small gun shops anyway. So, and I remember we talked about that real late one night after a chat, and I'd forgotten all about New Bern. So I'll make a note of that and check them out next time I'm over there.
Yeah, but James is a real good guy. He's got a nice little shop in there, and he can get you anything you want.
Nice.
Yeah, and like I said, tell him I sent you, and tell him I said hi.
How long ago was this? You lived in that area, but how long ago was that?
Oh
One of
God.
one of your many places that you lived in.
Yeah, seriously. I guess it's been 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
About 3, 4 or 5 years. It's been a little while. That's back when I was in Knoxville. I wish I'd known you then, because I could have really used a job.
Yeah. Could have put you onto some of that back then too.
I could have, I could have really used a job back then. That
Yes,
was a,
sir.
I was in a bad situation. But I managed to get through it. So what are your plans for the future? What do you got going on in the near future?
Let's see. Nothing really big except for getting married October 7th. So
Well, send her my
this,
condolences.
she's gotten many condolences from a lot of people, but no, that it's really my life here is all just about trying to keep business working here, trying to keep it generating in Knoxville, giving her time every week and taking care of my kids when I've got them. So trying to keep all this crazy boat together, driving a lot, driving 200 miles there, 200 miles back, sometimes at least once a week, sometimes 2 times a week, and got a mom here in Middle Tennessee that's she's still healthy, but she needs some help, so I have to kind of help take care of her some. So that's my life in a nutshell. It's a lot of here and there. It's a lot of driving, but I drive. Everybody's like, "How do you do that?" It's like I drive in one of the prettiest places in the country. That drive between Nashville and Knoxville to me is never anything but just a beautiful drive. I never get sick of it.
I spent a little time in Nashville.
Mm.
Nashville's not as big as people think it is. I don't think Nashville's as big as Knoxville, is it?
Oh yeah, we pushed it up pretty good now, and I can't remember. I remember you telling me you'd been in Nashville, but it's changed drastically in the last 7 years. Nashville added 135,000 new residents last year, 2017.
So she's growing fast.
Too fast for her own britches. To me, I'm appreciative that I've got Knoxville to go to, because Nashville's just gotten too big. And I don't really live in Nashville proper. I live in just out on the outskirts. I'm a country boy. I don't do city living well. I enjoy being close to a city, but I've got to be away. I can't live with a neighbor close enough to reach out my window and knock on their wall. And I'd never do well in apartment living. I'm a country boy. I've got to be able to tromp in the woods and go fishing, and I've got to be able to go out and shoot and stuff without, city living and city mentality just doesn't really mesh with me very well. But it's good being close by, because I got a lot of clients because of the proximity to it. So,
well, I tell you what, I understand what you're saying, especially around Knoxville and Nashville. But they're in Tennessee, and for anybody that knows anything about Tennessee, there is one exception to the rule he's just talking about, and that one exception is Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm.
You go 5 minutes and you're out in the country, and you can shoot and fish. Hell, you can fish right downtown Chattanooga. Anyway, so
yep, you're right.
Some of the best catfishing you could ever imagine right there.
Yep.
Man, I love Chattanooga, man. I lived there for, I guess, 4 years, 5 years. And in all the places I've lived in Tennessee, and probably period, Chattanooga is my favorite. I loved Chattanooga.
Yeah, Chattanooga's got a lot going on. It's an interesting town. I spent a lot of my childhood driving through there, because my father's side of the family was from just down around Athens, Georgia. They found a little town called Winterville, which is just kind of east of Athens, Georgia. So our route from Nashville down to visit grandparents and uncles and cousins and stuff down there was straight through Chattanooga. And Chattanooga used to be, it's still kind of known as the steel town, but it was kind of a dirty, dingy steel town back in the 60s and 70s. And they really cleaned it up. They've done a lot of really cool things with that town. There's a lot of really good places to eat. The downtown's nice and clean. And of course, like you said, it sits right on the Tennessee River / Chickamauga Lake, Nickajack Lake, and all that stuff's right through there. So
yep.
It's a beautiful downtown sitting on big rocky bluffs on the river. And then, of course, you've got, Lookout Mountain that just literally cuts right through that. So, you can be on a mountaintop just by riding a bike out to the edge of that and riding the monorail and the tram up the side of it. So, Chattanooga is a beautiful, beautiful town now. It really is.
If I had my druthers, and I could figure out a way to get there and find a job, and I'd love to be back there. I just love that town, man. I'm not a city guy at all. I hate cities. Always have. I lived downtown Atlanta for a year and a half and hated every second of it.
I did my time in the summers in Atlanta back in the 80s, working as a summer missionary in what was then the Techwood Homes Housing Project, which during the Atlanta Olympics was eradicated. They were relocated out of downtown Atlanta.
That's the same point in time I was living down there.
Yeah, in the Triangle. Working with all of those, it's great guys. I wish I had not lost contact with a lot of the guys that I worked with in there, but it was hot. I mean, I complained about how hot it was here today. It never cooled off in Atlanta at night. Never did.
No. And they say New York's the city that never sleeps. Spend some time in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is always.
If you can get into it from all the traffic.
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah. Back when the Olympics in, what was it, 92 came into Atlanta, I was living on Piedmont Avenue. Right across the street from the Botanical Garden.
Nice.
So, and man, it was a mess. It was a absolute wreck in Atlanta then.
Yeah. Yeah, they went full bore getting ready for that coming in there. Even the interstate systems coming into Atlanta. You can remember all the stuff they did, replanting all the interchanges, and everything changed within a 2-year window leading up to those Olympics.
And now it's all going to pot.
Oh yeah,
it's all that infrastructure just not being used, falling through. It's a huge waste, man. It's a shame. And they built that new stadium, and now it's being abandoned and tore down, I guess.
You talk about the Turner Park. Yeah, they've moved again, haven't they? Moved on up towards Marietta now. So they left downtown and moved up above.
Yep. So my sister lives about 5 miles from that new stadium, and her property tax went up. I think she said 10%. So yeah, that happens.
Yeah, sometimes you look at what people living in big places like that have to pay in property taxes. That's another reason why I'll take the rural living over that stuff any day of the week.
Amen, brother. Amen. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. It's 11:41. We're going to open up the YouTube side and the gun channel side for questions for you. If anybody's got anything to ask you, now's the time. Just post your your question out in the chats. I'll get to them as I see them. Or you could ship me an email at theoutlawhatfield@gmail.com. Anything you got to ask me or him, either one, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
And not that I can't read, but you'll have to read them to me if there's anything pointed. So.
Oh, I will. That's not a problem at all, man. I understand your situation. Before we started the chat tonight, I told him to hold on a minute. I had to go get some water. I dug a ditch today, and I'm no Scotsman. I did not say shit you an email. You're an idiot.
That's true form right there.
Shoot. 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 But he's not the only one. Obnoxious one said the same thing. Good Lord. See what
always keep me laughing.
See what I have to do. See what I have to deal with. See, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. The things that I have to put up with.
Gives you something to laugh at for sure. You always go back and think about it and chuckle a little bit. Of course, for you, you're a late night hound. You go well into the night a lot of times, don't you?
Oh yes, I have had the opportunity to get on line at 1 o'clock in the morning and still be on at 6. So
yeah.
And Scotsman's been right there with me a few nights. Alan's been there. So
yeah.
We definitely know how to burn the midnight oil, so to speak. You've been on a couple of those chats.
I have, and I can do it. It's just once I quit, I never have trouble going to sleep. I'm not one of those people that struggles with sleeping issues. I put my head on a pillow and I turn the television on and not catch a second of it. I'll be passed out a lot of times. So it doesn't take me long to once I commit to lying down, I'm gone.
Well, see, my issue is here lately, I've had to slack off the late night chats because my work schedule. Mm-hmm. So it's just getting to the point now where summer's here and I work in a diner that I hate, and it's just a pain in the ass. They're always busy. No telling what time I'm going to get home. That's why I've missed the last couple of weeks of the Scotsman's show. He sends me links every week, and God bless you for it, brother. But I just don't get home in time to get on the show.
Yeah, I missed out on foreign and domestic last night too because I was out actually on Watts Bar Lake with my best friend and his wife and all of his kids, and talking about all the weddings coming up and stuff for all of them. So yeah, that was a little layover. And I have while I am able to get the chat with you and several other people that I have chatted with here lately to work on my phone, none of the links that the Scotsman sends me seem to work with my phone. I still hadn't figured that out, but I did miss having that one. If people aren't watching foreign and domestic on Sunday nights, it's always a hoot. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's a lot of good content. Sometimes it's just a lot of fun. So we do have a good time.
Scotsman, Alan, Sarge, you guys put on a hell of a show. And I love being a part of that. I hate missing it. Speaking of Sarge, here's a little update for the future for you folks. Next week, I will have him on doing a one-on-one. That'll also be an interesting show.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I like those guys.
Yeah, I love them all to death. Alan's a bit iffy sometimes. It depends on which personality pops out. If it's Alan, it's okay. If it's Jan, you're in trouble.
There's a bunch more than that though. There's probably at least 7 or 8 personalities. You just got to dig a while.
Have you watched that? Have you watched that show Legion? That's what he reminds me of. That's sort of what he reminds me of. He's got like 15, 20 personalities, and they're fighting to get out. The two dominant. I'm trying to decide. If Jan's the dominant personality or Alan is.
Sometimes, never know.
It's just weird, man. It's scary weird. Yeah. Hey, Ewan, how you doing, buddy? We got new folks showing up here for the chat. We got 16 watching right now, and we got 1 thumbs down. Ladies and gentlemen, I have made it again tonight.
Yes.
I have to have that 1 thumbs down. Without that, I'm just not a happy camper.
It's a badge of honor. It really is.
Yeah. Whoever that one person is that thumbs down the show every week, I appreciate you so much. You do not know how much I love those thumbs down. And what I really wish you would do is wait till after the shows every week and put a comment down in the comment section and let me know why you dislike the show so much. I got 2 of them now, but I know who the second one was. It was crazy.
I'm thinking it might be the Outlaw McCoy might be thumbsing you down every week.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. You got links on both of those, don't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got to keep up with the idiots. You can't let them get too far ahead of you. You'll just be in trouble.
Yes, sir.
Oh Lord. So what can we expect from your show in the near future? You got anything planned?
Well, I've been pulling together this weekend. I've been at the range a couple of times over the weekend, and I'm heading probably to the outdoor range at some point tomorrow. And I'm getting things ready to drop on Independence Day for 5:00 Eastern time for the Let Freedom Ring Challenge. So I'm going to be dumping a bunch of shooting and range video on at 5:00 with who knows how many people. It'll be interesting to see how our feeds fill up. I hope a lot of people do that because it was fun last year watching my followed feeds kind of fill up really quickly with gun videos. So again, if you haven't seen that, you can go back and find a video that I did, but it'll point you back to Rob, to Pop's Quest when he put out the Let Freedom Ring, hashtag Let Freedom Ring challenge, year number 3. So that's the next thing you'll see. I've got a couple other things. I did get a very nice unboxing from my friend, the Crazy Scotsman, today. And I didn't put it out there because I just posted the Independence Day Every Second Matters video when I got that from the post office. But I'll have something really kind of cool that he sent me. And I got some range video hopefully here coming up soon with my boy and hopefully my daughter with both of them out at the outdoor range. But they're away at the beach right now. They didn't want me to post anything while they were gone.
Well, what was you shooting, if you don't mind my asking?
Which time, with him or for the Let Freedom Ring?
Both.
Let Freedom Ring, I shot mostly a good bit of 45 one day. I put that new flat trigger on my XT Mod 2 subcompact 45. I shot my 1911, but I had the recoil spring mess up in it pretty halfway through shooting with it. I will be going back out and adding some stuff, but I did shoot a couple of the CZs. I will be doing some 357 revolver. Of course, you know what I'll be shooting for that, the GP 100 for that. And then I'll be shooting at least one AR, maybe shooting the AR 22. And I definitely see some shotgun action when I get to the outdoor range tomorrow. Just some good kind of that oomph, like the really big firework at the end of the night. Need a little of that.
Ain't nothing like pulling the trigger on a shotgun, is there?
You got that right.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I had to pick up a shotgun a while back. I didn't have one, and a couple of my buddies over on the gun channel side threatened me. They said they was gonna kick me out if I didn't come up with a shotgun fairly soon. So I got the Mossberg 598 one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I qualify now.
You do.
I think that gets me right in the door.
And if anybody comes through the door, the shh is always the good indicator. You need to turn around and go the other way.
Well, I got it loaded up with double aught buck, so if the sound don't do the trick, I'm sure the flash and pop will.
Yes, sir.
Or would that be pop and flash? Who knows?
Depends on how far away you are, I guess.
Yeah. They won't be around long enough to realize either one, I don't think.
Yeah, I just forgot that I picked up some slugs while I was at Walmart on discount. I can't remember what I did with them. They'll pop up around here somewhere.
I think any gun being cocked is pretty much the universal sound of "get the fuck out, you don't belong here."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not welcome.
You hear that, and you know you fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody that's wondering, that was the sound of a GP 100 being caught back. Me and InSight have a matching pair, by the way.
We do. We need to get together and run those things side by side.
Well, I actually put night sights on mine. Do you still have the fiber optics on yours?
I do. Yeah. And I haven't used it, but anything like just out at the range right now, and that green fiber optic glows like crazy.
With a shotgun, you can get your CCW qualification with a mid-afternoon strike.
Who was that? Who commented that?
Obnoxious.
Nice one.
That was good. That was pretty good. Hey, Rooster, I didn't see you pop in, buddy. How you doing? Ghost is out there too. How you doing, Ghost?
Hey, Trey. What's up, man?
Yep. Oh, this has been a good show. I'd like to thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me tonight.
Hey, man, I appreciate you for the invite. I enjoy talking to you. We've got those paths that have almost crossed but hadn't quite. We got to make that happen sometime.
Yeah. It's odd, man. I lived in Knoxville and Alcoa for all that time, and we've never seen each other. And we show up on YouTube and we meet the same people, and here we are. It's good. It's good.
Yes, sir. Small world, but you're right down there in my old stomping ground too. Because like I said, when we were down there, Dad was a landscape architect with Robert Marvin Associates. Their big project that was going on during those years was all that stuff out there on Hilton Head. So I tromped all of the around where you probably tromp and fish and stuff for something during my childhood back then.
Yeah. Well, here lately, I've been doing most of my fishing over in Santee.
Yeah,
Over at
Santee's
Santee
sweet.
Coop. Oh man.
Yeah.
Me and the girlfriend went out there last weekend, or well, the weekend to me is Monday and Tuesday because it's my days off. And we went out there and we ran into a thunderstorm, messed us up a little bit. Had to get into the tent after we staked it back down. The storm actually pulled the tent up with the stakes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had to stake them back down, and then I tied them off the trees to make sure it didn't go anywhere. Storm passed over. I took a little ultralight rod and reel, trying to catch maybe a bluegill, crappie, or something. Didn't figure I was going to get a hold of anything too big. And had a little piece of a worm on a hook, on probably a size 8, size 9 hook. And that rod bent over double, and I knew I had a fish on there. And I pretty much knew right off the bat it was a catfish. I was thinking, okay, this thing's fighting like a flathead. But it was actually I guess 7-8 pound blue cat.
And on an ultralight.
On an ultralight. Man, you want to talk about some fun.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
He did not want to give up the ghost. So that was a 10-minute fight trying to get him to the bank and then landed.
Yeah, I've had those kind of experiences before with a fly rod, a pack rod that I had that I accidentally, while fly fishing for trout, caught a smallmouth, which, good night. It didn't last long, but while I was fighting it with that thing, it was a blast. But that line was not made to hold up that smallmouth fight for sure.
Now, it's been my experience, and I love to fish, and I've caught a lot of fish in my life. It's been my experience that smallmouth fight harder than largemouth do.
Yeah, pound for pound, at least twice as hard, I would guess.
And they just do not want to come out of that water. And they don't want to give it up. And the biggest smallmouth I ever caught was about 5 pounds. And you want
right there.
That's a slab smallmouth. That's a good one anywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught that one on an ultralight rod and reel, trout fishing.
And you can always tell the aggression of how they make their cuts, how they actually just move back and forth, like they're trying every way possible to jack that thing out of their jaw. Yep. And they're, like a largemouth will take you and pull you down, but it rarely cuts until it gets close to the boat like a smallmouth does. You can have 100 yards of line out with a smallmouth. That thing's gonna run it's gonna be running that Z pattern, dodging you.
Yep.
And man, it pulls like crazy. I love catching a good smallmouth for sure.
Now the biggest trout I ever caught was about 23 inches rainbow, and I caught it off a bass lure. I was bass fishing.
How about that?
Yep. He hit a willow blade spinner, and he just nailed it. And I knew it wasn't a bass from the way it was fighting. And man, he fought and fought and fought.
You're making me want to go fishing again.
Yeah.
Back out.
Well, I was planning on going tomorrow, but I don't think I want to get out in that area tomorrow. Tomorrow being the 4th of July, I got a feeling the campground's just going to be completely packed.
Yeah, I bet they are. Yeah, Santee will get a lot of traffic between now and then. So
yeah,
probably already packed. People fighting to get their spots on it.
Yeah, and I just don't want to deal with all that. So I told the girlfriend, instead of going out there this weekend, we'll just go next. And
that's probably a smart move.
Yeah,
smart move.
So, I hate giving up a day of fishing, but it is what it is. What can you do?
You ever do any flounder fishing or anything down there since you're so close to all that?
Here's the thing. I have never fished. Well, that's a lie. I fished saltwater one time. Sit out there for 5 or 6 hours, never even got a bite. Which is weird. I know you're in the ocean. You would think there's fish everywhere, but they're like any other fish, I guess. If they ain't hungry, they ain't gonna eat.
Yeah, you get back into those inlets and stuff, and you get into some of those flounder. That's good eating. I mean, it's not super fun to fish, but it's good eating. We used to do a whole lot of shrimping. We used to drag nets down there and do shrimping and stuff all the time.
Oh, I love me some shrimp.
Oh God, yeah. Whew. Just have a big old bowl of corn and potatoes and all kinds of stuff in there with the shrimp. Yeah.
See, now you're making me hungry.
Yeah, I'm making me hungry too.
Oh well, it is what it is, man. Midnight must be listening. We're talking about food again.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we're talking about food, he's listening somewhere. He's got this Jedi mind thing going on, where it's all revolved around food. That guy keep telling people he's a food Jedi. That's what he is.
I was trying to remember the name of the barbecue place that we used to go to all the time when we lived down in Walterboro. I think it's called Keith's Red Barn. That used to had that great sweet cornbread, and they had really good barbecue pork.
See, I'll let you get away with that, but you know good and well between me and you, if you start talking around sweet cornbread around most Southern folks, you're gonna get an ugly look.
Yeah, I know. But I was in my childhood years, and that sweet cornbread was something special. But we used to eat that down in Walterboro, it was not uncommon to show up somebody's house for lunch in the afternoon, and they would have boiled 3 or 4 dozen ears of corn with sweet tea, and that's what you had was just corn on the cob and sweet tea for lunch. And it was that silver quiz, that sweet corn down there. Everybody loved that stuff.
Yep, sweet cornbread. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Nah, man, you don't eat cornbread with jam. What kind of person puts jam on cornbread? That was our buddy Armament and Axes, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's sacrilege. You put butter on cornbread.
That's all it needs.
Or there is the other 2 ways to eat cornbread. You can tear it up in some chili, or tear it up in some beans, Or you could be like my grandpa, tear it up in buttermilk.
Yeah, my grandfather would do that too. Glass of buttermilk with it crumbled up in it. I can remember that. I always, my mom and dad always liked to crumble it and greens and beans. One of them would have a big bowl of beans, the other would have a big bowl of greens, and they would crumble up cornbread and put it in there and eat it.
Yep. Mom used to make pinto beans and cornbread, and I'd always crumble that cornbread up in them pinto beans. Oh man, that's a meal. Throw you a couple slices of onions in it. You got something. You got something right there.
Especially if it's Vidalia onion.
Oh yeah. and down here we in Vidalia country, so you can't go wrong with that. See, the Scotsman wouldn't know anything about all that good Southern food. We need to get him down south somewhere and introduce him to real Southern cooking.
Now, he lived in Georgia for a while. I wonder how much he actually got, though, because he was in North Georgia.
Yeah, probably not a whole lot. Not there. Yeah. He could have probably had a few squirrels, though.
You put him down around Macon or anywhere down in that area down there, and he couldn't have gotten away from it. He would have had to have had some good Southern food down there.
Oh, yeah. Zorro's in the house. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Zorro.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been going for just about an hour. InSight, once again, I appreciate you for being on the show. It was great. Apparently, nobody had any questions for us, but that's fine. And par for
that
course.
Hurts.
Yeah, I know. We're not very interesting people, apparently. But
I guess not.
It's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, next week I will have C4 Defense on here, Sarge. We're going to talk to him a little while, see if we can figure some things out about him. We also have another wrestling show coming up in a couple of weeks. We are going to be discussing the best managers of all time, or let's just say the 80s and 90s, because most people can go back that far anyway. And that was the heyday of the Jimmy Harts and the Bobby the Brain Heenans and several other of the great managers out there, Jim Cornette to name a few. We're going to do that. I've also got the Never Enough Ammo roast coming up one Monday night. I expect to see you all there. I'm still working on finding panelists for that. I'm pretty sure Ghost wants to be a part of that one. Clover said he wanted to be on there. Crazy Scotsman's wanting to be on there. So I still have, 5 slots open. So 6 slots open, something like that. So I'm going to fill those up. And we're going to have us a good time that night. We're just going to take turns bashing on Never Enough Ammo.
There's got to be a way to get Yankee on there, because Yankee appears to me as somebody who would roast people well.
Yeah. I would love to get Yankee. I have sent Yankee emails and I have never gotten a response. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch him on one of his shows, one of his live shows, and I'm going to send him a super chat with that in there, and that might get his attention.
It might do it. Never know.
That just might get his attention. We shall see, though. I'm not even sure when Yankee's next live show is. Hopefully, I'm not at work and can hit on him real quick with that and see what happens. Yeah, but I would love to have Yankee on here. I got one other guy I'm going to try to get. I'm going to keep that one to myself, though. Anyway, you guys have a great night. I thank every single one of you for being on here. You got anything to plug, brother?
I think I plugged it already. I do appreciate you having me on here again. Like I said, anytime you got anything you want to talk about, I'm always around. Anything you need, just holler at me, okay, brother?
Hey, anytime, man, anytime. I love having you guys on here. You know that.
Thank you.
I consider you guys friends and family, and I got your back as long as you got mine.
Good deal. And we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to support the Outlaw Hatfield channel, hit me up over on Patreon. There is a link in the description of all of my videos. It's there permanently. It's the Outlaw Hatfield over on Patreon. If you're not a subscriber, you can be. It's really simple. I give away a goat gun every month to my Patreons. I'm still haven't bought this month's goat gun to give away. And Midnight still hasn't collected his. He won last month. But I'm going to get that taken care of next couple of weeks. And I will pick a winner. One guy's already won twice. So, and strangely enough, he's the only guy out there that's donating more than $1. Go figure. Yeah, you get one entry per donation up to $5. So if you want to be a part of that, go over to my Patreon page, Outlaw Hatfield, donate $1 up to $5, and you get an entry for every $1. Guys, that's it for the night. I appreciate you all. Y'all have a good one. Take care. God bless. And remember, G Webbs is on live right now, the Daily Gun Show. Go over there, say hello to him, support gun channels. And if you're not a member, sign up to gun channels. It's completely free. Great bunch of people over there. God bless, guys.
Night.